Hello friends, it's Kate from AloneStarStateOfSouthern.com, and it has been a while since I've done any sort of beauty or tutorial video, so I thought today I would go ahead and take you through just kind of my typical everyday makeup routine. This is just a really light, easy look. It's pretty natural. I will be linking everything I use, including the color, the brushes, all of that below. So if you have a question about something, check it out there. And let's get started. So the first thing I do is start out with some moisturizer. I have used all different types, Neutrogena, more like expensive brands, and I have the hardest time finding something that actually works and doesn't cause breakouts. My mom, my genius mother, recommended jojoba oil. Basically all I do, dab my face with some water, just a little bit. And then I'll take tiniest little drop. The second it comes out, I stop it. Just rub it all over my face, kind of just like anything else. And the reason I like just using this straight oil instead of a moisturizer is because it doesn't cause breakouts, and it really does leave your skin so moisturized. Not like you feel like you have a lot of product on your face, it's just kind of smooth and gives you a little bit of a glow. After I've done that, I use my Laura Mercier foundation primer and tinted moisturizer. These are a little bit pricier, but I found that they provide just really great sheer coverage that looks amazing, but it's not too much, you know what I'm saying? And for an everyday look, I don't want a ton of makeup. Starting with the Radiance, I'll squeeze maybe like a dime-sized amount on the tips of my fingers. Rub it together and then just work it all over my face. I've tried doing this with sponges and beauty blenders, and I've just found that rubbing in with your fingertips gets the most even coverage, and it doesn't eat all your makeup. Sometimes sponges will use a lot of excess makeup. Now that the Radiance is all applied, I'll follow up with the tinted moisturizer. I use the shade Nude. Same kind of thing, just a little dime-sized amount on my fingertips, and I'll rub it together and put it all over my face. Okay, without anything else, you'll see that I already have some really natural coverage that doesn't look too much, and I love that the foundation primer, that's like one of my favorite products. It gives you this really pretty sheen. Next, I'll follow up with some concealer. For just an everyday look, I love this CoverGirl concealer. I use the lightest shade, and since I'm not wanting any crazy coverage, I will use this both under my eyes and on any problem areas. I'll just swipe some here, swipe some here. I usually do some under my nose because it gets red. My chin gets a little red. And then sometimes I have a couple little problem areas. For under my eyes, I just tap underneath. And then kind of, I guess, a little bit more of an aggressive tap. Same thing on the other side. And then just rub it in on your problem areas. There's no science to it. Okay, now that we've got kind of the foundation set, I just run over it with a little bit of powder. I use this translucent Laura Mercier face powder. It's just a white color. I'll get a tiny bit on my brush, and then I use the lid to knock off the excess and swivel it around. And then I just tap it all over my face really lightly and kind of rub it in. Next step is just a little bit of bronzer. I am definitely on the more pale side, so I typically like to use just a little swish to give myself a little bit of color. I don't do any crazy contouring, especially for a normal day-to-day simple routine. I use this Estee Lauder Bronze Goddess, and this is just like a drugstore thing I've had for years, and I swivel it around real quick, knock off the excess, and just brush a little on my cheeks and across my forehead. And then down the center, like I said, nothing crazy, just to give you a little bit of color, or to at least make you feel like you have a little bit on. I then follow up with some blush. I use this Laura Mercier shade, this little peach color. Just tap a little bit and knock it off on my wrist, and then I'll press it and swipe it out. Now comes the scary part, which for me is filling in my eyebrows. I have the craziest eyebrows. You can't really tell here, but when I was little, these ends, they grow up. So I literally had these pointy eyebrows. They're kind of unruly, and I will just take this Laura Mercier eye pencil. I just try to lightly fill in kind of right here and then on the ends. It's not precise and it always looks kind of wacky, but then I'll take some tissue paper and get off the excess and it typically looks okay, or so I hope. There you have it. Scariest part is over. Thank the Lord. Next up is the eyes. I use this Urban Decay Naked 2 palette. I love this palette because all of these shades tend to work well with my skin tone, and I will use the brush that came with it. And I'll take this far shade on the left and just dab it in and go over my whole eyelid. I'll follow up with this third shade in. I'll just put this on my lower lid to give you a little sparkle. Now you can kind of see the whole look coming together. Very natural, pretty simple. The last thing I do is I use a liquid eyeliner just to lightly line my upper eyelids. This is Lancome eyeliner. You can use any. I've learned with liquid eyeliner, practice makes perfect. If it intimidates you at first, just try playing with it. You eventually get the hang of it and it's not so bad. I typically try to wing mine out a little bit because that's easier for me than like trying to stop it right on the end to make it look natural. Then of course some mascara. I use Hypnose Drama, which I love. So this is a pricier mascara. There are a ton of great drugstore and brands out there, but I love this one because it really adds a ton of volume to my lashes and lengthens them without being too crazy gloopy. Once I do the top, I will lightly brush it on my bottom lashes and then do the same with the other eye. If you are a huge klutz like me and end up getting mascara all over your eyelid, use a Q-tip and dab it in a little water and then run over the black marks and they magically disappear. My favorite product ever that no matter what look I'm doing is a Bobbi Brown Shimmer Grip, especially when it gets cold and your skin kind of dries out and becomes dull and it doesn't have that pretty kind of summery glow. This thing rocks. I've had a million different shades. This is just the one I'm using now, but I will swipe it on a blush brush and go right over my cheek like that. And then I'll also go over the top of my forehead and right down the middle of my face. And if you can see, I'm not sure if it's showing up on camera or not, but it provides just the prettiest luminous glow. It kind of makes your skin just look really fresh and dewy, but it's all artificial, if you know what I'm saying. We're almost done. The last thing is a lip color. For an everyday look, I love this Chanel shade called Adrian. For those of you rolling your eyes right now, it's such an expensive lipstick. I would totally do the same thing. I actually got a tiny little sample version of this and was like, great, whatever, I'll try it, and ended up immediately loving it. Since I'm so pale, have a really hard time finding a natural shade that doesn't wash me out and it's not too pigmented. This is the best thing. What I also love about it is it's super moisturizing, so when I put it on, I almost feel like I'm applying like lip balm or chapstick. So just a little swipe of this and you're good to go. Okay friends, so there you have it. Gotta get this heinous clip out of my hair. That is my super easy, super simple, everyday look. I am going to be rolling out another one of these makeup videos to show you kind of a fall date night look. As always, I would love for you to follow along on Instagram, which is Lone Star Southern, and of course subscribe, that would mean the world. Finally, I'm always posting fashion outfits on my blog, which is LoneStarStateOfSouthern.com. So check out today's post. That's it. I'll see you later.